Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and cyborgs. This is Zach Friedman of Voidstar Lab, the mercenary hardware hacker agency, and you are in my head. That's right, you're not in my face, you're in my head. It's a new year, so I'm reshuffling the deck, starting over from square one. 2014 is going to be a monumental year for development of technology, futurism, culture. I really do believe this is going to be an exemplary and transformatory year, far more than any of the other promised exemplary or transformatory years. Not sure at this point whether or not to get into the nitty-gritty, but I do believe that 2014 is the year when our technology really starts coming together. But we're not going to be talking about this. Although in my head is Zach Friedman's, that's me, blog about wearable technology, the future, and whatever else I find interesting, I think I'm going to start off this brand new season with some complete self-indulgence. That's right, we're going to be talking about my New Year's resolutions. But Zach, you may say, it's January 12th. What's up with that? It's just been a really hectic week and a half for me. I mean, there are no excuses. There are no excuses, which will actually become one of my other resolutions. But yeah, it was pretty much helter-skelter for me. New Year's Eve, I went to this Bitcoin, this party by Bitcoin Exchange. I think that's just what they were called, just straight up Bitcoin Exchange. That party was really crazy. Immediately afterwards, pretty much immediately afterwards, I went to Las Vegas. Not bulletproof, just coffee. I went to Viva Las Vegas to participate in AT&T's hackathon. That's going to get its own podcast because it was so crazy. My flight got canceled, so I decided to stay the entire week for CES. So that was still Friday. Yeah, jet lag and post-conference fatigue hit me a hell of a lot harder than I was expecting. And that knocked me out of commission for a couple days. Now it's the 13th, exactly a month since I turned 25. But we are back in the metaphorical and literal driver's seat, and you are in my head. So this episode, episode 0 of In My Head, we're going to be talking about my New Year's resolutions. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to start this year off right with some complete self-indulgence. We're talking about my, Zach Friedman, of Voidstar Labs, New Year's resolutions. Yeah, when people are asking me about what my New Year's resolution was, I told them it was 640 by 360. No one really got it. Yeah. So I figured I'd probably have to pull my head out of my ass. What is up with all these buses? I have to pull my head out of my ass and actually prepare some stuff. So I did a lot of thinking. CES and everything around CES was really a transformatory experience for me. Yeah, I used the same pedantic buzzword twice within 3.5 minutes of starting this podcast. I feel kind of bad about that, but it really was. It made me realize that the way I've been doing things for the last couple of years has been suboptimal, and it really highlighted some areas where I would gain a lot if I improved. So I decided to assemble some resolutions. I know a lot of people ditch the resolutions. For me, I'm very serious about these. I believe that saying something is of no value. It is only doing things. So I'm saying this as a declaration that I'm going to get it done. I am very serious when I do stuff like this. I actually do intend to do all this stuff. Without further ado, let's go into my resolutions. Resolution 0 is to sketch out notes for the podcast before I get in the car. Yep, got them right there. That doesn't really count, though. That's just a courtesy for you listeners. All right, resolution number 1 for Zach Friedman is to travel. I know many people say they want to travel more. This is different. When I say travel, I just mean like actually do it. This trip to Vegas was like, I believe it's the first time I've left New York and New Jersey. Like, not even like flown anywhere. It's like the first time I had left those two states in like 3 years, and like the first time I got on a plane in, I want to say 6 or 7. I can't remember if my dad's business trip a while ago was came first, or I won that scholarship to the Game Developers Conference first. Either way, it was at least 5 years. So I want to do some traveling. One of the advantages of having a hardware, one of the advantages of having a hardware consultancy, or really being a consultant at all or owning your own business, is that you have complete latitude, especially when when your company is like pseudo-virtual, like Voidstar Lab, being that I'm the only full-timer, you get a lot of flexibility. I haven't really been leveraging this. I forget that a huge portion of what I do, both my personal strength and for Voidstar Lab, is face-to-face. It's how I get my contracts, it's how I meet new people. I'm really not a virtual guy, and the business doesn't lend itself well to virtual marketing. So I've got to get out there and do some traveling. On top of that, when you immerse yourself in another culture, right? Face it, when you're in another person's context, you're playing by their rules, and that's a good way to note strengths and weaknesses in your game. On top of that, it's just interesting. There are a lot of good reasons why I need to do it. Resolution number 1 is I'm going to travel. Putting this into effect by going to Boston to hang out with my friend Manish Sethi at Bolt Labs. Bolt's that hardware incubator. They're finishing up their first class. Yeah, that's right, their very first class in February. So I'm going to travel up there either next week or the following, so I can chat with a few of the companies, hang out with them, and see beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. Probably going to drive up there. It's not that far from New Jersey. This kind of leads into resolution number 2. Resolution number 2 is for me to be social. Anyone who's met me in real life knows I'm actually a pretty social person. I am very much an extrovert. This is completely unambiguous. I am completely an extrovert. Although I'm an extrovert with the capability to spend very long periods of time without talking to or spending time with other people. Most introverts, the number one marker of an introvert is that they are incapable of spending extended periods of time without meeting or talking to people. That's not really me, oddly enough. I'm just very comfortable talking to folks, but I can go a very long time without doing it. This is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because when I need to knuckle down and get things done, I can just do it. I'm not really distracted by being pulled 7 different directions and feeling this itch that I've got to get out, I got to do something. So it's a blessing, it's a curse because, face it, it's easier to not hang out with someone than it is to hang out with someone. And when something is easier, when something is easier and the costs are roughly the same, we tend to do it. So resolution number 2 is to be more social. Reduce that time out, spend more time with real people, meet more folks, get to more meetups, arrange more meetings, call more folks up on the phone, do more posting and reading of social, just all these things that I really have to force myself to do. Those of you who have met me in real life, there are very few of you, of course, who know me online, because you'll find out that I don't really do very much online. I am extremely social in real life. I will chat your ear off about anything for hours and hours, but I cannot reliably tweet about anything. So, this leads to, this is of course number 2, which is to be more social both online and offline. Hang out with more people, get more meetings, pick up the phone more often, and also try to engage more on social. Just bootstrap it by producing a lot more content and just plain and simple get a taste for talking to people all the time. That's one thing that stood out with my traveling companions at CES, my roomies. They were always talking to someone. For me, I have a very hard time doing this. It's almost a chore for me, but I recognize how important it is. I don't think I'm going to do a complete 180 and always be talking to someone on a text or hangout or whatnot, but I will attempt to do it a lot more. Did I say attempt? No, that's a cop-out. I will do it more. I've already put this into effect by calling up a few folks. I'm going to meet someone later today, but I do need to go harder on it because I'm not playing enough into the future. That leads in a way to number 3, which is go big. Everything everyone else seems to think about is about scale. This is something I've never really put much thought into. Voidstar Lab, we do have big contracts, but they're not tremendously huge. I make up for it by getting a large number of them, but not as many as I could. For me, this is fine. I make as much money as I want. It's a level of pressure that I am cool with, and it provides enough time for me to do the work stuff and the non-work stuff that I want to do. That said, there is something to scaling up. Frankly, that it's not really a decision that you can make later. It's in a way, scaling up is a lot like saving for retirement, which I try to do quite aggressively. In the sense that doing the earlier you, it has self-perpetuating returns. Like, the earlier you do it, the more you reap from it because it keeps helping you. So my goal for 2014 is to go big. I'm going to do this one of three ways, which I'm not sure the order in which I'll fall back from one to another, but I will do one of these by the end of 2014 and start it very soon. One of these three things is A, get a contract worth $10,000 or more in a span of 2 months or less. B, run a Kickstarter, or C, get a job. Yeah, I feel like all of these are going to have the same level. They're going to require similar amounts of pressure, and I feel like they'll accomplish similar things. It's not so much about what I get out of them. I never said the Kickstarter would be successful, and I never said that the job would be lucrative. Likewise, I never said that the contract would be favorable. It just means it's a signal to myself that I'm going places, in a way. The contract thing, like, I'm sure at least one person who I've done a contract for is like, hang on a second, I gave you a $5,000 contract. Like $10,000 over 2 months is the same as two $5,000 contracts, and that's true. And that's really it's the way you usually do things. But having someone pledge to give you 5 digits is different from having someone pledge to give you 4, even if the time frame evens it out. It's something that I really want to do to prove to myself that I can do it. That I am serious about this whole consulting biz. The number two one, do a Kickstarter. This is something that I've wanted to do for a while. If the year's going by and it seems as though I'm not going to get this big ticket contract that I'm looking for, I'm going to take a bit more time to bring one of my own products to Kickstarter. A lot of my clients are Kickstarter projects, and I feel like the fact that I have never done a Kickstarter myself is hurting me a little. On top of that, I'm still not sure. Like, I know that Kickstarters and fame tend to work well together. I don't know I'm sure this is causal. I don't know which direction it is causal. I'm not. That is to say, like, I don't know whether you do a Kickstarter and that makes you more popular, or Kickstarters succeed and I hear about them because the person was popular in the first place. Either way, I want to give it a shot. That's option number 2. Do a Kickstarter. Option number 3 is to get a job. I already have a job. I love my job. I love consulting. I love my clients. I love the business. Every part of it's awesome. The truth is, it's a bit on the lonely side. The people I deal with most often are clients or suppliers, and you learn something from them, but it's not the same relationship as fighting towards the same cause. Working with a very talented teammate for this hackathon. It really reminded me what working with a teammate can give you. The one thing about doing what I do, doing the whole consulting thing, is that all of the pressure and motivation and competition has to be done internally. It's effectively artificial. I create it for myself. Many of you in the audience, especially, we're gonna have a dedicated podcast about this in the future, but those of you of the female persuasion will be like, well, you don't need competition to do your best. Well, guess what? I, Zach Friedman, need competition to do my best. Nothing fires me up and gets me working more than knowing that someone else is doing the same thing better, or that I'm being measured against someone who's doing it better. That makes me want to pull out all the stops and go effing mental. It's very important for me to do that. If I'm finding I'm not getting that through other places, then I want to get myself onto a high-powered team and, kind of run with the big dogs, or at the very least run with dogs who are attempting to be as big as possible. I feel like that would be a big deal. Okay. I put these in a bad order because number 2 should have led into number 4. I do have a lot of resolutions here. this is the way I really like to do things. Prototyping has taught me that from the outset, you can never tell how good, bad, doable, impossible something is. I find it's better to aim at a bunch of things that synergize well and, reassign the weight, move the weights around to find a balance that works for you. I will do all of these, but I may find in the future that I can stack some on top of each other, or that one of them is doable with less effort. Of course, I'm sure that happens. Number 4, this is a big one for you guys, as you're listening to the podcast. Number 4 is I resolve to get loud. If you've met me in real life, you know that I'm quite loud and quite obnoxious. That doesn't translate into online. That's the goal. I'm going to get loud. I'm going to create more content. I'm going to create a bit more content, but I'm going to publish a lot more of my content. I'm not very good about publishing. I am getting better at that. I hereby pledge, dear reader, listener, watcher, I don't know how this thing is going to pan out. Content consumer, I pledge you this. A new In My Head will be up on YouTube every Monday. No exceptions, no days off. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. Every Monday will be a new In My Head. Every Wednesday will be a new how-to video. The how-to videos I have not determined a format for yet. They will start out extremely crappy, you have been warned. Every once in a while, I may post one up on Saturday, which is probably going to be about Magic the Gathering. I'm not a pledge on that one, just a suggestion to myself. At the very least, you are going to get one. You're going to get an In My Head. Every Monday. You're going to get a how-to every Wednesday, and at least once a month I'm going to find someone really awesome, and I am going to have an argument with them, and I'll put that argument up. I need to figure out a catchy name for that, as well as the how-to section, but I'm sure you'll love it. I meet a lot of interesting people, and I get into a lot of great arguments. Hey, Jesus is still advertising. So that is the plan. Okay. Oh, number 5. Number 5 is one that the hackathon really did for me. This is more of a lateral shift than a real resolution. But this is that I'm going to start using my side projects to prove concept. I do a lot of side projects. I don't publicize many of them because a lot of them are dead ends, but they're a little scattershot. When I started doing these hobby projects, I was inspired by kind of like the maker movement, hackerspaces, DIY, hackaday.com. The hacks are all over the place. They're generally stuff that wouldn't it be cool. The hallmark of these types of projects is that they tend to start out being like, wouldn't it be cool if X, I bet I could whack that together in a day, and it turns into a month-long project. This is a two-part resolution. First off, I will not work on any project longer than a week. If a week after I start working on a project, the side project is not finished, it will be scrapped, and the pieces will be returned to the parts bin. No exceptions, no stockpiling. I will not save it for later. The project is in demonstrable state in 1 week, or is deconstructed. Number 2, the second part of that is that my projects tend to be kind of goofy right now. Not the case anymore. I'm going to use them all to demonstrate concepts. I have a lot of theories and ideas about how technology should work, but if I am spending my hobby time trying to put an augmented reality rangefinder scope on a Nerf gun, that is not really helping. So my hobby projects for the next year are all going to prove a concept or an idea I have, about the way technology should work. Either this is something about what is it? Either this is something about wearable technology or new user interfaces, or the zero input, zero input necessary computing, etc., etc. I'm going to prove out a different concept. My goal is to try to churn out a project every week. I'm feeling I'm not going to keep to that, especially with all the videos. So I'm going to attempt to bang one out once a month. Point is, this is my way of keeping myself accountable for this one. Before I start a project, I will tweet about it a few times, and I'll write a blog post about the concept, along with my sketches and stuff. Then I will do at least some amount of work log, and then I will write a conclusion. I may come back to the projects. I never said I'd build a different project each time, but it will be stable by the end of the week, or I die trying. Almost everything I do will be put up on GitHub. That's the way. That's a real way to keep myself accountable. Don't believe me. Remember, do not believe a conclusion. Believe the data. After, of course, you have checked its validity. I happen to trust my own GitHub data because I make it. Okay, number 6. this one is going to blow some people's minds. This is to upgrade some of my hardware. I'm going to tell you what my hardware is, and I'm not talking about the new shiny stuff that I haven't yet proven. I'm talking about my go-to tools that I rely on to do my job and my projects. Let's go gadgets, because everyone likes gadgets. My main work computer is a mid 2007 MacBook Pro, 17-inch, the first unibody model. The battery is effectively shot, has a life of about 45 minutes. I've upgraded to an SSD and RAM. It works fairly well. Although Mavericks the way Mavericks is written, it relies heavily on having a fast, having an efficient microprocessor. It's designed for i5 and i7. I'm using a Core 2 Duo. It's a little spotty, to say the least. My road machine is a mid-2007 MacBook Air. This machine is so old that when I bought it, it didn't actually have an SSD. You didn't know that, did you? The original MacBook Airs did not ship with SSDs. This one had it as an option, so I bought an OEM SSD and I put it in. Still, this thing is beaten to hell. It's got a battery life of maybe an hour and a half. My phone, this is the part I get the most crap over. My phone is a Galaxy Nexus. Not the Galaxy S3, not the Galaxy S4, not a Nexus 5, and certainly not a Nexus 4. This is the Galaxy Nexus. This was Samsung's curved Galaxy phone. I've used it since release day. This is definitely the Achilles heel of my hardware. I also have a tablet. I have this Nexus 7 that I was given by Radio Shack for an Instructables contest. It's garbage. I'm not sure if I want to replace it because I'm still not convinced how useful a tablet actually is. My resolution for 2014 is at the bare minimum to replace the phone. I didn't want to do it. The Zach Friedman policy. Oh, shut up. The Zach Friedman hardware policy and gadget policy has tended to be buy the highest end piece of hardware you can and then use it until it is literally unusable. I've held this is held true with all of my computers and all of my phones that I've ever purchased. I do not replace them until they are literally incapable of working any further, beyond the point of repair. My track record of breaking phones has been quite good. I know a lot of people have a drawer somewhere that's full of old gadgets. I don't. A gadget I have is either effectively pristine because I never actually used it, in which case I sell it, or the gadget is completely destroyed and has absolutely no salvage value. Having a phone with zero resale value is not hard to do. You just use it for a year. Having a phone with no salvage value, like actually taking it to a phone repair guy and saying, like, we can't take any parts from this, we won't even take it off your hands. That's what my stuff ends up as. My resolution is, at the very least, to replace the phone. This hurts me on such a deep level. I don't like buying unnecessary hardware. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the point is, like, the phone I have now is just having a 16-hour battery life is, having like a 12-hour battery life is not that good when you have a whole bunch of devices connected to it. The fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth Low Energy actually hurts me hurts me continuously now. I have all these connected devices, and I work on connected devices, and I have literally no BLE-capable devices. On top of that, like, there are some things where I don't like to admit it. I don't like to admit it, but the truth is, there is an element of fashion to technology, including the stuff that isn't wearable. There is an element of fashion in technology, and if I'm in the business, I kind of have to get serious about it. I really am not comfortable with this. This isn't the way I like to do things, but sometimes you just have to play the game, like, you end up on a baseball field and you just gotta play the game. So that's my resolution. I'm gonna replace the phone. Right now I'm gravitating towards the Galaxy Note 3. I don't really like Samsung. I don't like the way they approach product development. I don't like the way they abandon developers, and I don't like their god-awful crap UX. Everything Samsung, I don't like their plastic phones, any of that, but the point is, I'm just not going to find a phone with Bluetooth Low Energy, an infrared blaster, and a stylus anyplace else. The HTC One X, is actually tempting. I need to evaluate how much. I need to evaluate how much I want the pen versus how much I want the better build quality and the fact that it isn't Samsung. of the One X. It's beautiful hardware. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen these HTC One phones, the One X, One Mini, and or One Max. I'm sorry. They are so nice. The build quality is great. It's all magnesium. The features are thoughtfully done. You can turn off Sense, which is like a killer feature in and of itself. And they're not made of plastic. And most importantly, they're not made by Samsung. HTC has so far released, oh geez, I should probably get away from this bus. HTC has so far released APIs for all of their special features. They are not engaged in a pointless patent battle. As far as I can tell, they release accurate benchmarks for their products. I would be proud to own an HTC phone. Point is, I gotta replace working hardware. I don't like it. But sometimes it just has to be done. Why a big ass phablet? I've just noticed that since getting glass, I've rarely taken my phone out of my pocket, to use standard phone things on. And when I do need to take it out, it is a big deal, and I need serious horsepower and capabilities. So I figure I owe it to myself to get the longest lasting, highest powered, beefiest piece of pocket pocket Bluetooth internet hub that I can possibly get. Let's see, there are a couple more here. Yeah, one of them I already covered. But no shame. But yeah, let's cut to number 7. This one is going to be the hardest. Most people, their New Year's resolution is to get in shape. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make that resolution because, frankly, I know I'm not going to keep it. Wait until resolution -1, which I'll do last. But resolution number 7 is very similar because it's something that I totally despise. I do not want to do, but I gotta suck it up. It's good for me. Resolution number 7 is I am going to learn how to use the internet. This was the gaping hole at the AT&T hackathon. Gaping hole in my skill set. And the thing I'm realizing, something I'm realizing that in fact is killing me in all hackathons and really shoots my capabilities for my personal and client projects in the hugest possible way, which is that as soon as it comes to the web, I am totally lost. I know how to program HTML, right? I've written a JSON parser, which isn't that hard. In fact, it's great for my first parser. But I don't really get the web. I don't understand how HTTP works. I don't get OAuth. I cannot easily use an API. I still don't fully understand how to do web call, how to do HTTP calls and how to handle responses. Frankly, when it comes to the internet, I am a mess. So resolution number 7 is to pull my act together. Yeah, you see that lack of swearing. I know you, Myron. Resolution number 7 is to pull my act together, learn how to push, learn how to do some RESTful stuff, learn how to set up and configure a web server, with server-side scripting, possibly learn some Rails. I don't want to do any of this stuff, but I recognize how important it is. Got to do a lot more stuff involving APIs. Frankly, we've got some big cores of things I'm interested in. We've got wearable, situational awareness, Internet of Things. The concept of the data ghost and mixed reality. None of this stuff can really be done well without having a firm command of HTTP. Weak point in my skill set. I got to do it, both in embedded and on client. Yeah, that's number 7. I got to do it by the end of the year. I want to be quite proficient at. Making and dealing with HTTP. Yeah, to prove this to myself by the end of the year, I should be able to acquire a server on which I can run scripts, write a straightforward, write some straightforward code and scripts, using whatever language, it's not important, that integrates a couple of RESTful APIs and, of course, non-RESTful APIs within 6 hours. That is how I measure success for this. So those are my resolutions. I also have one anti-resolution. I mentioned before I wasn't going to force myself to work out. This is because I suspect I'm gonna be a bit overloaded with all this stuff. I'm really trying hard to make a bunch of changes to myself and my skill set here. I think it's gonna take a lot of time, and that time will kind of eat away at the time and willpower. Willpower is finite. There's not that much to go around. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to force myself to work out, or if I did, it would interfere with the other stuff. So I have one anti-resolution. This anti-resolution is, if 6 months go by, right, in June 1st, if I haven't made significant headway with results on all of these resolutions, I will drop at least one and start working out. This is my incentive for pulling my act together. One way or another, I will get stuff done. Whether this is smart brainy stuff, hard, soul-searching stuff, or simply breaking a sweat stuff. Anyways, those are my 2014 resolutions. I want to hear yours, so tell them to me, and I will feature the most healthy. And if someone actually does, I will feature them in an upcoming podcast. You can reach me virtually anywhere as Zach Friedman. That's Zach with a K, Friedman with 2 E's. I am on Google+, Twitter, my own blog, that'smyname.com, zachfriedman.com. Where else? GitHub, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere. The point is, you can find me anywhere, Zach Friedman. Thanks for getting inside my head. If you have an interesting problem that you think will be solved with new and innovative hardware, especially wearable stuff, give me a call. It's what we do here at Voidstar Lab. Anyways, thank you very much for tuning in. You've been inside my head. I will see you in the future.